Okay, we are in Yaakov. Please subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up, hit the notification, make sure I can get paid. Okay, we have 103 people who have signed up. That means I only need 997 more, and I will get paid.
You got green stamps too, or
no green stamps? I don't know. Actually, I don't know what they're going to pay me. I want to see what I want to see the first check from.
It'll come down.
That's what they're going to pay me, right? Okay, we are in, like I said, we're in the Gemara Bracha Shabbat, and we're on 53A2 in the Art Scroll. And it says, again, you guys don't have this yet. So it says, Kisalik Rab Zera, when Rab Zera went up, you have from Babylonia to Eretz Yisrael, and I'm going to make this point. Whenever it says goes up from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael, is because Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel, is considered higher than every other land. Certainly in that area, it's supposed to be higher, but also it really just means spiritually higher.
Yeah, elevated.
Right. Okay. So it does, because it says whenever we're from wherever we're going, it's always going to be making aliyah. So even though we come from the Himalayas, I would say I'm making aliyah, I'm going up to Eretz Yisrael, because spiritually that's where we should be, and that's a spiritually a high status. Okay. So Ashkechel Rav Binyamin Bar Yafet Yativ Ka'amim Ishmei Rav Yochanan. So what happened was he found Rav Binyamin ben Yafet sitting and saying to him in the name of Rav Yochanan, Notnin Marda'at al Gabei Chamor b'Shabbat, that one may put a saddlecloth on a donkey on the Shabbat. Okay. Amalei. So Rav Zera said to him, Yishar v'chein tirgama Aryach Bavel. He well said, and Aryach in Babylonia explained likewise. So Aryach Manu, who is this Aryach? Shmuel, that's the answer, Shmuel. And he says, Aryach stems from Recha, which is Aramaic for king. Shmuel was called this because, as an expert in civil law, he judged the people like a king who serves as supreme judge of the land. Okay, that's how you get Aryach. Furthermore, the halacha follows Shmuel in matters of financial law, just as a king's authority invests his decisions with the force of law. Another explanation is that this name was derived from Arioch, king of Elasar, mentioned in Genesis. The name Arioch was chosen from among other names of kings because it includes the word Ari, lion, which is a symbol of the monarchy in Judaism, for the Jewish king, Yehuda. Okay. So, hi, Revi Nami Amara, hi, Nami Rav Amara. But Rav also said this, and since Rav permits a feedback, he will certainly permit a saddlecloth. So, what's going on here? Ella Sham'e Dahavim Messiah. Rather, Rav Zera heard Rav Binyamin ben Yafet conclude Ve'ena Tolen Troskal but Shabbat. But one may not hang a feed bag on an animal of Shabbat, on the Shabbat, since regarding this point, Rav Binyamin followed Shmuel, not Rav. Amalei, Rav Zera said to him, Yishar v'chein tigma Aryoch bevavel. Right. So well said, and Aryoch Shmuel in Babylon explained likewise. So since we don't follow the halacha totally like Rav, what he's saying is we follow it mostly like Shmuel, so that's why it was called Shmuel's name and not Rav. Now what's really going on here is what am I allowed to, is Shabbos, and I have an animal, and I'm putting on a saddle cover. Why would I put a saddle cover on?
I was going to wonder that, because you can't ride it.
Right, you can't ride it.
You can't saddle it, in other words.
So you shouldn't have to saddle it on.
Keep it warm out of
right, you have to keep it warm.
Yeah,
right.
Why can't you feed it?
Oh, it's not a matter of feeding it. It's a matter, you can't feed it, you have to feed it. Yeah. But you're not allowed to hang a feed bag on it because that just makes it easier for the animal. That you're not allowed to do. You're not allowed to, you can just put food in front of it. It has to eat by itself. But you can't help it eat as it were. Unless it's sick or something else. But it's, but that's really what's going on there. It's a whole, it's interesting how why they picked on this particular piece, but that's really what's going on. That you would think that first, it's really teaching you who you have to name when you're quoting. Now, first of all, there's a rule. Whenever I'm saying something that somebody else said, I'm supposed to use their name to continue the tradition instead of making it sound like it's coming from me. That I'm not allowed to do. And why? Because it says one who quotes somebody without proper approbation, is that the word? Accreditation, whatever. It stops the Mashiach from coming. Because I've basically stolen from that person. And that's where you get into intellectual property.
You have to give credit.
I have to give credit where credit is due, right? Okay. So if I don't, I'm holding the Mashiach back. So anytime I want to do it, anytime I'm quoting, I want to quote, but I have to quote the right person. Yeah. And if Shmuel is saying it and Rav is saying it, two people, so I should say Rav and Shmuel said. Why wouldn't I say that? So it's saying that here he's telling us that Rav didn't go as far as Shmuel did in his ruling, and he actually stopped it. So since this person was talking about wearing the cloth on his the saddlecloth on the donkey, you may have thought it would have also allowed him to put on a feed bag, and the answer is no, he doesn't go that far. Okay, so that's he didn't go that far. That's why he didn't do it. Okay, now we go to where you guys are. Oh. We are on page 53b4 in the art scroll. Okay. And we're talking about a sad case. It says, okay, the article gives you the background to what's going on here. He says, having mentioned udders, as a cow udder, cutter. Not udder, as in.
I've heard of that, yeah.
Not saying not as udder as.
Not the udder person.
Not the udder person.
They came from Brooklyn, New York, so they wanted to test the IQ on the little kids. So on my uncle, they asked, where do we get milk from? He said, Spalensky's. That's the dairy down the block.
There you go. The udders, right, the udders. So, having mentioned udders of an unusual nature, the Gemara relates a story about udders of a miraculous nature. Okay, so that's what we're coming to. So, Tan Rabbanin, the rabbis taught in the Braita, Ma'aseh ve'echad shmei te'isha. There was a case that a certain person lost his wife. She died. Ve'nicha ben linok, leaving a son to nurse. But he did not have enough money to pay the fee of a wet nurse. So what happens? A miracle was performed for him. His breasts were opened like the two breasts of a woman, and he nursed his son. A miracle happens.
They'll have to do that on daytime TV if anybody's going to believe it.
There you go. Okay, but that's what happened. So, Amar of Yosef.
Over the course of time or once? This isn't a one-time thing. You know, he'll be hungry in 2 hours.
So I'm assuming that he was stayed until he finished nursing, or it would happen whenever he has to nurse the baby. Yeah. When it's a miracle, we don't ask Shabbos in a miracle. By the way, there's one of the famous cases where you would say you can't ask Shalos on a Maisa. You can't ask on the act. In other words, it happened. Okay, how it happened, what happened, who knows? How often it happened, we also don't know. Bottom line is, it was a miracle to say that. And what's it really coming down to, by the way? That Hashem, since Hashem created us, and He can do what we need, He'll do for us. And why He couldn't just keep his wife alive. I mean, that would have been an easier miracle than to give the guy breasts. Okay, but nonetheless, obviously, there was a major reason that she had to be taken back to home, as it were. So, Amar Rav Yosef. So Rav Yosef said, Bo re'ei kama gadol adam zeh. Come and see how great this man was. Shenaselo neis kazeh. For such a miracle is performed in his on his behalf. So Amar lo Abaye. So Abaye said to Rav Yosef, Adarabba, on the contrary. Kama garua adam zeh. How inferior this man was. Shishtanu lo sidre beresha, for the natural order of had to be changed on his behalf. Why? So he says, Rashi explains, he did not merit that the gates of income be open for him to earn a livelihood in a normal manner and be able to hire somebody. right? If I can hire a nursemaid.
That would have been much more natural.
Right. I hired somebody.
Create something that would provide the money for him.
Correct. You hire somebody to be a nursemaid.
That would seem normal then.
That's the normal way.
Yeah.
So on what?
It seems like he's being blamed for his own poverty.
By this one anyway.
The answer is yes.
He's being blamed for his own poverty.
Yes. In other words, it's not, why is a person, there's many reasons that a person could be poor. I'm going to say it like this, financially challenged. Because poor, when we say poor, I assume we mean financially challenged, but it has a whole connotation. So I'm going to say financially challenged. Okay, and because poor could mean he's poor of soul, poor of this, poor of that. And we say, Ezu Asher, who's a rich man, one who's happy in his portion. So if a person has no money and the person is still saying, this is what Hashem wants, and therefore I'm happy with that, I'm not fighting that, I'm happy, whatever Hashem throws at me. So that person is not a poor person anymore, that person is now a rich person. It's just financially challenged.
A person can be blessed without having wealth.
Correct. So
this is, at this point anyway, this is a split opinions. One said, the miracle happened for him, but the other one says, no, it shouldn't have happened that way.
So what's happening here is we have an event. I always like to say this. We have a parv event. This guy had breasts that would nurse his baby. Okay, so that's the event. So now how do I look at it? Do I look at that as, wow, unbelievable. This guy was such a tzaddik, such a righteous person that, okay, his wife died for whatever reason, and Hashem didn't bless him with money. So what did he do? He showed how great this person was, and he gave him breasts so he could feed his baby, so he wouldn't need anybody else. He was self-sufficient. What a beautiful thing. What a tzaddik he was. Okay. Very nice. It's a good spin. I like the spin. It's beautiful. Everybody's a tzaddik. We heard on Sunday. Everybody's a tzaddik. Great. On the other hand, the other rabbi said, what are you talking about? That's not a tzaddik. If it was a tzaddik, Hashem wouldn't have had to do the miracle for him. Hashem would have blessed him financially. He would have then been able to go out and hire somebody normal, a normal situation, hire somebody to nurse his baby. Maybe a shidduch would have been made. Who knows? And then he didn't say that far, but I'm expanding on the statement. But whatever the case would be, it would have been normal for him to hire somebody and then go and everything would be fine. They wouldn't need a miracle. And by the way, what type of, they're both miracles in reality. But what's the difference from the first to the second?
The first is not natural.
The first is not, the first, you mean the second? The first, you mean when he gets breasts?
Yeah. It's not normal.
The first is very, very much altered. This is a miracle.
The first and second again?
No, the first is the guy grows breasts in order to be able to feed his baby. The second one would have been if Hashem would have given him money, so in order that he could afford to hire a wet nurse.
These are both miracles.
No, well, yes, but they would. In other words, when God gives me money, when God gives you money, us our money, that's a miracle. When we make money and we have money in our bank accounts, that's a miracle. Not because of our economy, no jokes on America, no jokes on anything else. When we have money in our pockets, that's a miracle. What makes us have money versus the other guy not having money? Because Hashem gave us this challenge to see if we're going to use the money correctly. And when he doesn't give us the money, it's a challenge to see if we're going to accept it graciously and say, thank you so much for not giving me the money. Everything is a test. Everything is for us. There's no difference. So I think that again, this is the world we call the world of lies. I go to work. I work at the Torah Center. I get paid. I have money. Blank. Done. Well, God forbid I don't have a job and I don't have this natural source of money coming in. Then what happens? I don't know where the next money is coming from. Now, what do? Do I sit down and daven a lot and say, okay, Master Universal, I'm working for you now, and I'm working only for you, and I'm going to daven, and I'm going to bother you for the next 8 hours, but I'm going to thank you for everything you've done for me. I'm not asking you for my paycheck, because that I know is going to come. So now I'm just going to sit down, I'm going to pray, I'm going to learn the Torah, I'm going to do everything. And I know I'm on your bankroll right now. And again, I never look out the window, I don't look for my paycheck. Suddenly money's come into me. Now, what are you going to say? People are going to say, what a lucky guy. What do you mean lucky? I've been working. I worked my 8 hours. I worked my 10 hours. I just work for a different employer than you. But my employer, God, he pays on time. Okay, that's the difference. There's no board directors with God. Okay, there's nothing there. I can never be fired from God. Fired from God means you're dead. That's what that means. So so that's what I'm saying. You hear what I'm saying, Steve? That's your two miracles. In other words, do I need an open miracle like the splitting of the Red Sea? And if that's the case, am I better or worse off than the guy who doesn't need such an open miracle, but a miracle that is just looks normal? That's the difference between this. That's the argument.
People would see
what kind of miracle do I need? The open one where everybody says, "Wow, that was an open miracle," or the one that's not so open, the one that's everybody assumes is normal. Okay, that's the argument they're having with this guy. Was the guy Roy? Was he fit for that or not? So now it says, Amar of Yehuda, Bora'e, come and see, come akashim, b'zonatav shel adam, how difficult it is to provide a person's food. Shenishtanu alav sidrei breshit, for the natural order was changed on this man's behalf. So the Maharal explains that God provides food to each person individually, which is an act of divine grace that transcends nature. Moreover, unlike other miracles, the splitting of the Red Sea, which involves a change in matter that already exists, the provision of food entails a more fundamental creation. Thus, providing food is more quote-unquote difficult, deviates further from natural order than other miracles. Okay.
What was the Hebrew word for what this translates as wicked?
Wicked?
Abai said to him, on the contrary, behold, how wicked that man must have been What word is translated here?
Garua. It doesn't mean wicked.
It does not.
It means inferior.
Mine says lowly.
Garua.
Mine says wicked. It has nothing. He didn't do anything wrong.
Right, no, correct.
That's
correct.
where you're coming from on that question.
Correct. Yes.
Because everything comes down to a translation, which 11 times out of 10 is wrong.
Correct.
That's what gets me about this. You go to a certain point in the translation, it's like you lose the whole point of the argument.
The editor who translated he was seeing some commentary someplace.
Which is why I don't think anybody calls him a wicked person.
Interesting.
Maybe there is. I don't think there is.
Your book says lowly. Yeah, I like that.
Lowly. Yeah.
It's not his own fault.
Yeah.
Wicked involves.
Oh, okay. So that's a different theological question. In other words, why is a person poor is a theological question.
Well, it has nothing to do with wickedness.
It could. In other words, why if... I'll give you an example.
Even if it did, the baby needs to live.
No. That's two different things. No, that's two different things. So in other words...
the wicked are brought low. Isn't that a concept?
No, but I'm just saying, I want to answer one question. I want to answer... No, that would be enough. This is Garua. He's deficient in something. He's deficient. So that's why it's not lowly, it's deficient. Garua is deficiency. So he wants to say wicked. But I want this, like I said, there's a theological question you're bringing up. When a person is poor, is it just because he, again, financially strapped? Is it because it's not his fault? It's not one's fault that they're financially strapped. So there's one opinion that would say, again, that it is true that no matter what this person does, he is not going to make money because that is his repair in this world. In other words, he did something in a previous life that maybe he was rich and he didn't give money out to the poor, and Hashem needed that person to have a soul correction. So now he puts him into he puts him into a situation where that person can be poor and has to beg for alms. Okay, alms, 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 and I never know if it's my Boston accent because I have to think how.
Well, the L is pretty much silent anyway.
Right, I just have to always think of how people hear. Because when I say beer, everybody they don't know what I'm saying. The beer is in the roar, or the beer in the drink, or the beer is in naked. They don't know. Beer is all the same in Boston. So.
Well, if you mean the football team in Chicago, that's preceded by duh.
Oh, duh. Okay, thank you. I didn't even have them in mind.
Sure. Well.
Okay. Shows how far away I am from sports. But that's what I'm saying. Also, by the way, it could be because of my actions. In other words, if put me in the world that I'm a rich person now, and I'm a rich person, and what happens is somebody comes to me, and there's a famous story about this, but I'll just cut to the end of it, where the guy came to this rich person, said, the Rebbe sent me, he said you would give him a loan, and the guy says, I don't even know who this Rebbe is, leave me alone, get out of my face, and he doesn't give him the money. Well, next thing you know, this rich guy falls on bad times, bad investment, loses all his money. He has to go begging, and he ends up at this rabbi's house. And the rabbi, he says, wait a second, somebody came to me one time looking for a loan, they mentioned your name, so how did you have to know me? He said, well, when I was up in Gan Eden, when I was about to be born, Hashem wanted to put me into a rich person's body. And I said, no, Hashem, I want to learn Torah. It's too much of a challenge to me. Give the money to somebody else. He's bargaining with God. And God said to him, okay, but you should know he's your banker. So whenever you need money, you go to him. Fine. So he said, so when this guy came to me and I needed money, you're my banker, so I sent him to you because God gave you money, but you showed you weren't fit for it. So he gave it to somebody else. So at that point, regardless if I went to the story, at that point we see that a person's financial challenge can be self-imposed. In other words, it can be because of my riches, it can be because of my wickedness. But this guy's not. They're not saying here wickedness. They're not even looking at him to say, are you righteous or you're not? One is saying, look, the miracle that happened for him, wow, what a tzaddik he must be. And the other guy is saying, no, he's deficient. That's why God didn't bless him with the money when he needed it. In other words, even before they didn't need it anyway, so fine, you have a wife, leave me alone. But now you don't have it and you can't afford it, but so you're deficient. You're deficient, and so now I need to go out of my way. I have to change nature for you. Because I don't want the kid to starve. Okay? Okay. So Amar Rav Nachman Teda. You may know this also from the fact that Merachish Nisa Lo Ivru Mizone, that miracles happen to save people's lives, but food is not created. Okay, and he says it is not unusual for people to for God to save people's lives in miraculous fashion. However, we do not find as often that Hashem miraculously creates food for the righteous, for instance, by causing the amount of wheat in the storehouse to increase. We normally don't see that. Okay.
That is interesting. You do hear these miraculous stories about you look at 9/11, how many people didn't show up for work that day for whatever reason.
Right.
It's interesting.
Well, that's
food, yeah.
But again, that miracle was hidden, by the way. 9/11, all the stories that we heard, one of the famous stories that was said in, I forget which papers it was, Yeshiva Neta, who it was. And it was a guy who was learning his routine was he would go to the synagogue early in the morning. He would learn in class the page of the day of Talmud that he would learn. Then he would go then he would have to go to commute to work like every good New Yorker does. And so it takes about, I think, a half hour on the train or whatever it is, or an hour or whatever. Yeah. So he would review the Talmud, the page of the Talmud was, and listening to he would listen. They recorded it, so he would listen on the earphones, put it in. This is long before we had smartphones and everything else. This was the old days where you had to record it and bring it in. Okay, and so he was listening to that, and lo and behold, he missed his stop because he got so into the Gemara, he missed his stop. And okay, so he had to go back. By the time he got, no, lo and behold. Then there was another story that again doing with Daf Yomi. It was they went. There was in the city itself around where'd it go? The towers, wherever the towers were downtown.
Lower Manhattan.
Lower Manhattan, fine. There was
downtown, yeah.
There was a shul again that all the workers would go to. They would go in early because you don't want to have to worry rush hour. You don't really like to go and
they went downtown early
to daven, but they would also have a daf yomi class. Fine. So they had a daf yomi class, and they always had a minyan. But today they didn't have a minyan. There's no minyan, and so they're waiting. These are workers. I mean, they're white collar workers, so they can wait around. Now the blue collar workers, and blue collar can never wait because they have to be at work at a time. If you're not there, you're going to be fired. But a white collar worker can sometimes kill time, as it were. So the white collar worker, fine. So they're waiting. No minyan. Okay, they start to daven. Maybe the minyan will come in, and lo and behold, just as they're about to hit Baruch Hu, an old man walked in. He's going to be number 10, but great. He says, but let me, gentlemen, I hate to impose on you, but it's my father's yahrzeit. So I need to lead, but I haven't started davening yet. Okay.
Was he the 10th?
He was the 10th. So he's the 10th, and he says, my father's yahrzeit. So they said, Bichvod, goodbye, please daven, go ahead, lead the congregation. The guy's going so slow, he would make the yeshiva look fast. Okay, that's how slow he's going. And they'd sit there and they're looking at their clocks. My God, we're going to be so late for work. Our boss is not going to like this at all. Yeah. Mind you, it was only 15 minutes. That's all they were off. But okay, you have to deal with the high tension of thing. So he's davening, fine. And he's taking he's really and this one Esther is taking it longer than Rosh Yeshiva. It's going on. And finally, he finishes. They all go to work. They all want to go to work, and suddenly they hear, it's been bombed.
I think the first.
And they were only, I think, 4 blocks away. And if they normally would have been in their place,
they'd have been there.
So right. So there's all those stories we wouldn't know. In other words, they're all hidden miracles. And that's that. So these guys, you would look at this and say, okay, so you were important. Hashem clearly wanted you. He rewarded you for daf yomi. He rewarded you for whatever you're doing. In both cases, daf yomi, very nice. But it wasn't open. It wasn't an open miracle until. In other words, everybody. It wasn't recognizable at that moment.
Oh, like a mass major.
Right. It wasn't a sleeve splitting moment. It wasn't plagues coming down upon you. It was. A slow guy.
A delay in time.
A delay in time. I missed it. I never normally miss I stop, but I miss a stop. No, never. I have to go around. My boss won't like me. Okay. Because of those events, they saved their lives. That's a hidden miracle. Okay. But if somebody was in the towers and something happened that when I think it hit the, whatever floor, the 20th floor, I think that's what it hit. And somebody would have survived and jumped off, and they climbed the roof. Remember? They climbed the roof. And if somebody would have, and plenty of people jumped, okay? If you remember that, there were plenty of people jumping. And so if somebody would have jumped out and landed and said, I made it, that's an open miracle. Or he would have started to fly like Superman. That would have been an open miracle. There would have been no question of it. That was a total miracle. Well, I've always wondered when I saw the thing, but they didn't know it was going to fall. But I was thinking, when it would start to fall, it's collapsed. And it was collapsed straight, if everybody remembers. Yeah. Collapsed straight. Yeah. What would have happened? I never know this. I assume the person would have still died. But what would have happened if he would have waited till it was coming down here and then jumped? Do you still have the same force going down? It would make sense you would, and you would die. But I've always wondered that, you jump off at the right time.
I don't think those floors would fall equidistant. I think there would be some compression as well.
No, I'm saying if you're on the roof. People went on the roof. Because they were trying
to try to escape the flames. The ones who were above the spot.
Right. They were trying to get right.
Yeah.
The people on 24 were instantly killed. Whoever the plane hit.
It was higher up. It was like 2/3 of the way up or something.
Yeah, whoever was, they were instantly killed. But I'm saying, if somebody would have survived that would have been an open miracle. There would have been no question. But what we hear is the hidden miracles. and we had the stories, and we said, wow, Hashem really had compassion on these people.
All right, so why is this story being told here? What is this?
So again, the reason is, and that's, we were talking about in the Gemara before, it was talking about others of a natural nature. It was, for whatever reason, it was, I don't know offhand. I mean, I learned this years ago, but I don't remember offhand what's going on in the Gemara itself. But it's, we're just, again, hearing the story, and we're hearing the argument, was this guy a great tzaddik, and that's why he deserved to have this miracle, or was he guru, or was he lacking in something? And that's why Hashem gave him this miracle, unlike the simple thing of giving him money. That's all. Okay. Now the next part is Tana Rabbanan. So we had the rabbis Tana Braita. Adam Echad. Again, the story happened with one person. Shanasa Isha Gidemet. That he married a woman whose hand had been cut off. V'lo hikeba ad yom mita. But he did not perceive that her hand was missing until the day of her death.
Does that indicate how long they have been married? Mine does not.
No.
All right.
No.
That's interesting. It has to be some period of time, presumably.
Yeah. No, I'm sure it was a long time.
Yeah.
But it says the following story this story was quoted here presumably because, like the previous one, is an extraordinary incident involving a man whose wife died. She didn't die there.
How would you not notice that your wife only had one hand? That's strange.
Well, it means simply what it means is, by the way, that she had been able to do everything that would have been done by a two-handed woman. And if she didn't, what you would hear from this mostly is she didn't let her, what do you call it, handicap her.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what?
Right. He made a joke on handicap. I wasn't making a joke like that.
The
But
man that works at the deli.
right.
Have you been over the deli? You know, the man
Right.
that works, I think his right hand is like this. His hand is like he has no fingers.
Right, because he got cut off.
No.
He had them. He originally had them. They got cut off in an accident. But the point is,
he does everything over there.
There was a man like that for years at the South Bend Farmers Market. He sold cheese with one hand.
Wow.
Right.
Yep.
So the point is, it could be as simple as that. That what we're hearing is that the guy, even though he could have looked at the woman as, you're handicapped, I have to deal with you, no, she was a total partner with him. And it was, she didn't allow that to stop her from doing anything. You could look at it that simply. That's why we have to hear that story. Okay, that was a great love. Okay, so now we're going to discuss this. Okay, so Rav. So Rav said, "Bo re'ei kama tznua ishazu." Come and see how modest this woman was. Shelo hikir ba'ala. For her husband did not perceive her hand was missing. So Rav Chia. So again, that's a nice way of looking at her. She was very tznua. She was very modest. I'm not sure again why that would be a matter of this, but okay, he's looking at tznua.
She never complained about it.
Never complained. So Rav Zera zu dark v'chach. This is her. So Rav Chia said to him, said to Rav zu dark v'chach. This is her way. It's natural for a woman to cover herself, and especially this woman who need to do so. Ella kama tznua adam zeh, rather, see how modest this man was, so he could be ishto, for he did not perceive that his wife was missing a hand. The commentator suggests explanations to how he became aware of this deformity on the day of her death. Okay, and so it could be that he didn't see it, he wasn't looking. It could go a lot of different ways on this. Okay, we'll have to stop here. But it's again, all these stories are showing that they're of miraculous nature. One, he never saw that the woman was missing a hand. Either she took care of it very well, or she never, he didn't allow that to color his perception.
Yeah, when you first read it, it sounds really weird. How could he not notice? Right. But I think what you said we're getting out of it is that he was so kind and gentle with her that he never brought it up. Because she was able to do everything like this man here. He just learned how to do it, and she never made a fuss out of it. And she kept herself covered. So,
Right. Okay. Very good. Uh,